Today, I want you to slow down with me. Just for a moment. Just for this breath. You have been running for so long that you may not even remember how your own mind sounds when it is quiet. So today, we start with silence. We start with noticing. We start with a simple truth. You are here, and that is enough. Listen to my voice and shadow me slowly. Repeat after me with calmness, with softness, with patience. I am here with you. I am not rushing. I am not pushing. We are moving together. One gentle step at a time. Say this with me. I am ready to begin. I am ready to change. I am ready to discover my own voice again. Each word you speak today will strengthen you. Each sound you repeat will bring you closer to a more confident version of yourself. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need perfect pronunciation. All you need is presence. All you need is willingness. So breathe in, breathe out, and follow my words. Today we begin with grounding. Today we begin with awareness. Say this with me. I am here, and I am listening. I am here, and I am learning. I am here, and I am growing. Now imagine this. It is early morning. The sun is soft. The air is quiet. The world has not started rushing yet. You open your eyes slowly. You feel the weight of yesterday leaving your body. You sit up gently. You place your feet on the floor. And you whisper to yourself. Today, I give myself time. Repeat after me. Today, I give myself time. I give myself patience. I give myself space to breathe. Feel how the words shape your mouth. Feel how the sounds move through your chest. You are training your English, but you are also training your mind. Now shadow this. I don't have to rush. I don't have to fear mistakes. I don't have to compare myself to anyone. I am walking at my own pace. I am learning in my own rhythm. Your voice is not small. Your voice is not weak. It is only unused, and today we use it again. Shadow gently. My voice matters. My practice matters. My progress matters. Every day, every minute, every repetition, it matters. Imagine yourself standing in front of a mirror now. You look at your reflection. You take a slow breath. And you say, I am improving. Even if it feels slow, I am improving. Even if I can't see it yet, I am improving. Feel the honesty of these words. Feel the truth inside them. Now we move into a slow, steady cadence. Follow me, repeat me, let the rhythm carry you. I trust myself. I trust my effort. I trust the process. I do not give up on myself. I do not speak with fear. I do not hide my voice. I allow myself to grow. I allow myself to learn. I allow myself to make mistakes and keep moving. This is the first step. The step of silence turning into sound. The step of hesitation turning into confidence. The step of self-doubt turning into self-belief. You are not just shadowing English. You are shadowing a new identity. A stronger identity. A calmer identity. A more courageous identity. Repeat this with me. I am becoming someone new. I am becoming someone stronger. I am becoming someone more confident. Feel the sentence inside your body. Let it echo. Let it settle. And now, breathe once more. Deep inhale, slow exhale. You are not alone on this journey. You are guided. You are supported. You are encouraged. Now shadow this slowly. I choose to learn today. I choose to grow today. I choose to speak today. Today is my beginning. Today is my reset. Today is my first step. As you continue repeating after me, let your mind accept that change does not happen in a single moment. Change happens in layers, in repetitions, in daily promises. So promise this softly. I will show up. I will practice. I will stay, even when it is hard. I will stay, even when I feel shy. I will stay, even when progress feels invisible. I will stay. You are learning something powerful. Consistency is a quiet strength. It does not shout. It does not force. It simply shows up. You are showing up right now. This moment is proof. Now shadow this mantra. I am consistent. I am steady. I am patient. I am committed. Good. Very good. Let your voice relax. Let it flow naturally. You don't need to push. You don't need to force. Just follow the words like calm waves. Shadow slowly. I release pressure. I release fear. I release perfection. I welcome learning. I welcome progress. I welcome confidence. You are doing well. You are doing more than well. You are building a foundation for the next 90 days of your voice, your skill, and your confidence. One last shadow sequence for today. I honor my time. I honor my effort. I honor myself. This is my journey. This is my practice. This is my beginning. And with this final line, let the chapter settle inside you. Shadow it softly, gently, peacefully. I am ready for tomorrow. Today, we go a little deeper. Today, we move from silence into awareness, from awareness into intention. Yesterday, you learned how to breathe with your practice. Today, you learn how to direct your practice. Follow my voice. Shadow gently. Let every word guide you into clarity. Say this with me. I am here to understand myself. I am here to understand my time. I am here to understand my voice. Good. Now imagine this moment. You wake up again, but this time you feel something different. A tiny shift. A small spark. You cannot explain it, but you sense that something inside you is preparing to grow. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. Naturally. Slowly. And that's where true change begins. Shadow this slowly. Real change begins quietly. Real change begins in small steps. Real change begins inside me. Now, today's chapter is about noticing your patterns, the things you do automatically without thinking. Your habits. Your reactions. Your choices. Most people move through the day on autopilot, but not you. Not today. Today you observe. Today you pay attention. Today you learn who you really are. Repeat after me softly. I am watching myself. I am learning from myself. I am becoming aware. Good. Now I want you to imagine yourself going through your usual day. See the typical morning rush, the moments of stress, the moments of doubt, the time you usually waste scrolling, drifting, avoiding, hesitating. Don't judge yourself. Just observe. Say this. I observe without judgment. I observe with kindness. I observe with honesty. Let your voice soften. This is not about blaming yourself. This is about discovering yourself. Today you learn that time has a shape. Time has a flow. Time has a rhythm. And every action you take decides how that rhythm feels. Shadow slowly. My actions shape my time. My choices shape my day. My habits shape my life. You're doing well. Keep your breathing steady. Keep your voice relaxed. Now imagine you are carrying a backpack. Inside this backpack are all your habits. Some are heavy. Some are light. Some help you. Some slow you down. Today you open that bag and look inside for the first time. Say this with me. I see what is helping me. I see what is hurting me. I choose what I carry. Very good. Very honest. Now picture yourself removing something from the backpack. Maybe a habit that wastes your time. Maybe a fear. Maybe a pattern of giving up too quickly. Whatever it is, imagine lifting it and placing it down. Feel the relief. Feel the lightness. Shadow this. I let go of what holds me back. I release what slows me down. I create space for better habits. Now inhale and exhale slowly. You are learning something powerful. You are not controlled by your habits. You create them. You choose them. You can also replace them. Repeat. I am in control of my habits. I am in control of my time. I am in control of my growth. Good. Today's intention is simple, awareness. Because awareness is the key that unlocks change. When you know how you spend your time, you learn how to protect it. When you know what drains you, you learn how to avoid it. When you know what strengthens you, you learn how to repeat it. Shadow gently. Awareness gives me power. Awareness gives me direction. Awareness gives me focus. Now, imagine yourself at midday. You pause for one moment and ask yourself the simple question. How am I spending my time right now? Say it with me. How am I spending my time right now? Good. Ask again. Is this helping me grow? Ask again. Is this who I want to be? These 3 questions will guide your next 90 days. They will guide your growth. They will guide your voice. Shadow this. I ask myself questions. I listen to the answers. I learn from every moment. You are doing the work. You are training your awareness muscle. Every time you repeat after me, you strengthen it even more. Now shadow these affirmations slowly, with calm confidence. I choose to stay present. I choose to stay aware. I choose to stay mindful. I choose to understand my time. Very good. Now the tone becomes softer, deeper, more introspective. Imagine the evening coming. The light is fading. The world is slowing down. You sit quietly for a moment and look back at your day. Not with criticism. Not with disappointment. Just with honesty. You say to yourself, I see where I did well. I see where I was distracted. I see where I can improve. Repeat. I learn from today. I grow from today. I prepare for tomorrow. Awareness is your compass. Awareness is your mirror. Awareness is your beginning. You don't need perfection to change your life. You only need to notice. You only need to adjust. You only need to keep going. Say this with me. I adjust. I improve. I continue. Breathe in, breathe out, and follow this final sequence. I honor my day. I honor my growth. I honor my awareness. This is how I take control of my time. This is how I take control of my voice. This is how I take control of my life. And softly, gently, peacefully shadow this last line. Tomorrow, I notice even more. Emily's steady, confident teaching tone, no paragraph breaks. Today, we move into clarity. Yesterday, you learned awareness. Today, you learn intention. Not vague intention, not soft wishes, not hopes that drift away, but clear intention, sharp intention, intention that becomes action. Follow my voice closely. Shadow slowly. Let every word anchor you. Begin with this. I choose my direction. I choose my focus. I choose my growth. Good. Now imagine waking up with a different energy. Not rushing. Not drifting. Not reacting. You wake with purpose. With clarity. With a decision already made inside your mind. You are no longer someone waiting for motivation. You are someone creating momentum. Shadow this gently. I create momentum. I start my own movement. I begin before I feel ready. Today's chapter is about building clear intentions for your time. Time becomes powerful only when you decide how to use it. Time becomes meaningful only when you shape it consciously. And time becomes valuable when you protect it with purpose. Repeat after me. My time has purpose. My energy has direction. My actions have meaning. Good. Now imagine yourself sitting down in the early morning quiet. There is no noise, no distraction, no pressure. Just you and your intention for the day. You write one simple sentence. Today, I will act with clarity. Shadow that. Today, I will act with clarity. Again. Today, I will act with clarity. Now imagine choosing 3 actions, just 3, that will move your life forward. Not big. Not complicated. Simple. Focused. Clear. Feel how this brings calm to your mind. Feel how it brings control to your day. Say this. I choose simple actions. I choose clear actions. I choose actions that matter. Clarity is not about doing everything. Clarity is about choosing what matters most. Most people scatter their energy. They start 10 things and finish none. But not you, not today. Today you become someone who moves with direction. Someone who knows exactly why they act. Shadow slowly. I act with intention. I move with purpose. I know my why. Now imagine yourself going through your morning routine. Every step becomes intentional. You speak intentionally. You breathe intentionally. You move intentionally. You choose how you respond. You choose what you focus on. You choose what you protect. Say this. I choose my focus. I choose my attention. I choose the direction of my day. When clarity becomes your habit, confusion disappears. Hesitation becomes smaller. Fear becomes quieter. You stop asking, can I do this? And start asking, what is the next step? Repeat after me. I take the next step. I trust the next step. I move forward with clarity. Now breathe in deeply and exhale softly. Let the next part sink in. Imagine a version of yourself living without clarity. That version wakes late, drifts, scrolls, delays, reacts. That version wastes hours because they don't know what truly matters. Now imagine the new version of you. Focused. Decisive. calm, intentional. Which version feels true to your future? Which version feels powerful? Which version feels right? Whisper this. I choose the focused version of me. I choose the intentional version of me. I choose the future version of me. You are training your mind to choose clearly. You are learning the skill most people ignore. Clarity is not luck. Clarity is a decision. Clarity is a habit. Clarity is discipline. Shadow this slowly. Clarity is my discipline. Clarity is my strength. Clarity is my power. Now imagine midday. People around you are busy, distracted, overwhelmed. But you remain steady. You check your intention again. You remind yourself why you started your day with purpose. You do not rush. You do not panic. You simply return to clarity. Repeat. I return to clarity. I return to my direction. I return to my purpose. Your voice should feel steady now. Calm. Focused. Strong. Intention becomes a shield that protects your time. Intention becomes a compass that points you forward. Intention becomes a filter that removes all the noise. Say this. My intention protects me. My intention guides me. My intention keeps me focused. Good. Now imagine the evening. You sit quietly again for one short moment. You ask yourself, did I act with clarity today? There is no guilt. No stress. No failure. Only reflection and honesty. You answer, yes, I acted with clarity. Or, not enough. But tomorrow I will do better. Say this gently. I reflect with honesty. I grow with honesty. I improve with honesty. This is the foundation of transformation, honesty with yourself. Because honesty creates clarity. And clarity creates power. Shadow these affirmations with complete focus. I choose my direction every day. I choose my purpose every morning. I choose my clarity every moment. I am stronger than confusion. I am bigger than hesitation. I am clearer than doubt. Take a slow breath and release it. Now follow my final sequence. Today, I lived with clarity. Today, I made intentional choices. Today, I honored my time. And whisper with me. Tomorrow, I will be even clearer. Your progress is becoming real now. You might not feel it every second, but it's happening quietly inside you. Today's chapter is about rhythm, your daily English rhythm, the natural flow that turns practice into a habit and habit into effortless improvement. Rhythm is the bridge between discipline and progress. Rhythm is what makes your mind return again and again, even when motivation is low, even when time feels tight. Think about this clearly. Successful learners don't study harder, they study rhythmically. They don't force themselves every day. They simply come back every day because it feels like part of their life. Repeat this with me slowly. I build rhythm. I follow rhythm. I grow through rhythm. When you shadow this, let each word flow like steps in a calm walk. You are not rushing. You are not dragging. You are moving consistently, smoothly. Now imagine yourself beginning your day. Not in a hurry. Not in a blur. You start with just 1 minute of English shadowing. 1 minute that tells your brain, this is what we do. This is who we are. This small ritual becomes a doorway to consistency. It makes English feel less like a task and more like a lifestyle. Say this. English is part of my rhythm. Learning is part of my rhythm. Growth is part of my rhythm. Throughout the day, your rhythm keeps working for you. When you walk, you repeat a phrase. When you wait in line, you rehearse a sentence. When you're alone for a moment, you whisper a thought in English. These moments look small, but they are powerful. They turn your mind into a place where English lives naturally, comfortably, quietly. Repeat after me. I practice in small moments. I use the time I have. I learn without pressure. There is something important you must understand. Rhythm is stronger than motivation. Motivation rises and falls, but rhythm stays. Motivation is loud. Rhythm is quiet. Motivation pushes hard. Rhythm carries forward. If you build rhythm now, it will protect you on days you feel tired, stressed, or uncertain. Say this slowly. My rhythm carries me. My rhythm supports me. My rhythm never disappears. Close your eyes for a second in your imagination and picture a day where your rhythm breaks. You skip your practice. You forget your phrases. You lose your flow. Does this mean failure? No. Rhythm doesn't need perfection. Rhythm needs returning. Returning is the strength. Because every time you return, you reinforce the habit. Repeat. I return. I restart. I continue. That is rhythm. Not perfection, continuation. Now imagine the opposite. A day where your rhythm feels strong. You shadow easily. Words come out smoothly. Confidence rises. You feel yourself improving. Not dramatically, but steadily. This is what builds mastery. This is what makes English feel natural. Whisper this. I am getting better every day. Again. I am getting better every day. By now, you should feel your mind settling into a pattern, my voice, your repetition, your thoughts growing clearer. This is part of your rhythm too. A calm, steady flow of learning. A daily moment where your mind expands. A habit shaped by intention. Repeat after me. I learn in flow. I grow in flow. I live in flow. Your rhythm will become stronger as you remove pressure. English is not a race. It's not a test. It's a journey. One step, one word, one practice, one connection, one improvement. Let your rhythm guide you gently. Let it anchor your day. Say this softly. I trust my rhythm. I trust my pace. I trust my progress. And now, towards the end of this chapter, let me remind you again, rhythm is what makes learning stick. Rhythm is what makes fear shrink. Rhythm is what makes confidence rise. Repeat this final sequence with intention. I show up daily. I build my rhythm. I honor my learning. And every single day, I become a stronger English speaker.
Fear is the quiet barrier that stands between you and the English speaker you want to become. It doesn't shout. It doesn't run. It simply sits inside your chest, tightening your voice, shaking your confidence, and convincing you that silence is safer. Today, we focus on understanding that fear, softening it, and slowly walking past it. Not by force. Not by pressure. But by awareness and steady courage. First, take a moment and imagine the feeling you get before speaking English. The small tension in your stomach. The tightness in your throat. The quick beating of your heart. These sensations are real. They are natural. They are normal. Every learner experiences them. But fear grows when you ignore it. Fear grows when you pretend it isn't there. So today, we acknowledge it calmly. Repeat after me in your mind. I feel fear, and it's okay. Fear becomes weaker the moment you face it with honesty. Think of the times you hesitated before speaking. Think of moments where words stayed stuck even though you knew what to say. Those memories might feel heavy, but they are lessons, not failures. They show you where courage must grow. They show you where your voice is waiting. Say this softly inside yourself. My voice is growing. My courage is growing. Now picture this, every time you practice shadowing, you are training not only your pronunciation but also your emotional strength. You're teaching your brain that speaking is safe. That mistakes are normal. That trying is enough. This is how fear slowly dissolves. Not in one day. Not in one moment. But through repeated gentle exposure. Whisper it inside. I practice. I improve. I become braver. Let's go deeper into the psychology of fear. The fear you feel doesn't come from English. It comes from what you think will happen when you speak. Judgment. Embarrassment. Failure. But here is a truth you often forget. People are not watching you as closely as you imagine. They are busy with their own lives, their own thoughts, their own worries. Your fear is louder inside you than outside you. Say this clearly. I am safe to speak. I am safe to try. Think of someone you admire who speaks confidently. They were not born confident. They built confidence through mistakes, through repetition, through discomfort. Confidence is not a gift. It is a skill. Something you grow by stepping forward again and again. Today can be one of those steps. Remind yourself. Every small step counts. Now imagine a future moment, you are speaking English, and your voice is steady. Clear. Calm. You don't feel perfect, but you feel present. This version of you is real. This version of you is possible. The gap between now and then is not made of talent, it's made of attempts. Every attempt strengthens your speaking muscles. Every attempt weakens the fear. Repeat after me. I speak. I learn. I rise. Let's focus on your breathing. When you fear speaking, your breath becomes short, shallow, and tight. But when you breathe slowly, your brain understands that you are safe. Speak English with slow breath. Let your inhale create space. Let your exhale release pressure. Whisper internally. I breathe. I relax. I speak. Now, think about mistakes. They are not the enemy. They are the evidence that you are trying. They are the bridge between you and fluency. When children learn their first language, they make thousands of mistakes. They learn because no one punishes those mistakes. You must give yourself the same permission. Say this kindly to yourself. Mistakes help me grow. Fear comes when you try to be perfect. Confidence comes when you allow yourself to be human. Today's chapter is about choosing confidence over perfection. Choose progress over pressure. Choose courage over fear. Whisper this. I choose courage today. Imagine standing in front of someone and speaking English. Your words might not be perfect, but they are clear enough. You express yourself. They understand you. The moment may feel small, but inside, it becomes a victory. A sign that you took control of your fear. A sign that you are becoming the person you want to be. Repeat. I am becoming stronger. Let me remind you, fear doesn't disappear by avoiding it. Fear fades by facing it gently, consistently, with patience. Your journey is not to become fearless, your journey is to become brave. Brave means speaking even when you feel nervous. Brave means trying even when your voice shakes. Brave means continuing even after mistakes. Say this with intention. I am brave enough to try. As we reach the end of this chapter, let the message settle deeply, you don't need to defeat fear in one day. You only need to walk past it one small moment at a time. Your voice is waiting. Your courage is waiting. And every step you take weakens the fear that once controlled you. Repeat this final affirmation slowly. I will speak. I will grow. I will rise above fear. My voice is stronger than my doubts.
The morning sun rose gently, painting the sky with soft gold as Min Tet woke up feeling heavier than usual, replaying yesterday's failure over and over in his mind. His presentation practice had gone terribly wrong. His voice cracked, his hands shook, and his mind froze, leaving him wondering if he was truly cut out for success. Even today, that same weight pressed on his chest, but deep inside, something small and stubborn refused to die. He slowly sat up, placed both feet on the floor, and whispered, I can't keep running away, even though his voice trembled. He remembered the promise he made months ago on the rooftop. No matter how many times I fall, I'll stand again. That memory echoed inside him like a heartbeat as he dressed, grabbed his notebook, and stepped outside into a world that looked normal but felt like a battlefield. He walked to the community library, where the librarian greeted him with a warm smile. as if sensing his struggle. Choosing a small table by the window, he opened his notebook to a blank page and wrote 3 words. I will improve, not once but repeatedly until his fear loosened slightly. On a new page, he listed every weakness he had been afraid to face. Voice shaking, mind going blank, fear of crowds, low confidence. And seeing them written made him want to shut the notebook and run. But he didn't. He held the pen tightly and told himself, if I can name my weaknesses, I can fix them. He watched beginner public speaking videos, practiced breathing, repeated his opening lines, and tried standing with confidence. He stumbled many times, forgot lines, and felt his throat dry, yet he kept practicing. Hours passed until the sunlight faded from the windows, leaving him tired but strangely lighter. He realized that failure wasn't the enemy. Fear was, and each time he continued, that fear shrank. As he packed up, he looked again at his written promise and whispered, I will become someone I'm proud of. Then he stepped into the cool evening air, believing those words more than ever. The rain started before sunrise, tapping against Min Tet's window like a tired reminder that not every day would feel bright or inspiring. And when he opened his eyes, he felt an unusual heaviness in his chest, as though all the progress he made in the past weeks had suddenly disappeared. He sat up slowly, feeling the weight of exhaustion settle into his shoulders, and for the first time in a long while, he wondered if he was pushing himself too hard. The dreams he chased felt distant that morning, like stars hidden behind thick clouds, and even though he tried to shake off the feeling, it clung to him stubbornly. He washed his face, stared at his reflection, and saw someone who looked unsure, someone who wasn't the confident version of himself he hoped to become, and that doubt made his stomach twist. He walked to his desk, flipped through his notes, and realized none of the motivation he had yesterday seemed to be present today, making everything inside him grow even quieter. He tried practicing his speech again, but his mind kept drifting, his voice felt small, and the words he once believed in now sounded empty in the silent room. He wondered why growth felt like this, why the journey wasn't a straight path, but a messy one filled with setbacks. And the more he questioned it, the heavier his thoughts became. He felt a familiar urge to give up for the day, to crawl back into bed and forget everything, convincing himself that maybe one wasted day wouldn't matter. But then he remembered how many times he had quit before and how each time turned into weeks of stopping, months of regret, and years of feeling stuck. That memory alone made him breathe deeply, press his palm against his chest, and whisper, not this time, even though the words came out shaky. He opened a small notebook where he had written his long-term reason, the reason he started this journey. I want a life I'm not afraid of. And reading it felt like a quiet flame relighting inside him. He put on his shoes, stepped outside despite the heavy rain, and started walking with no exact destination because he just needed air and movement. The cold drops soaked his shirt, but strangely, the rain felt grounding, as if each drop was washing away the doubts that kept piling inside him. He walked for more than an hour before stopping at a small tea shop, where the owner recognized him and smiled, asking if he wanted his usual warm milk tea. That simple kindness made something soften inside him, reminding him that he wasn't alone in the world even if today felt overwhelmingly lonely. As he sat by the window watching the rain bounce off the street, he began thinking not about how far he still had to go, but about how far he had already come. He remembered the boy who couldn't speak a single sentence confidently, the boy who avoided eye contact, the boy who was too afraid to try, and he realized that he was no longer that same person. Progress wasn't always visible, and growth wasn't always loud. Sometimes it was quiet, hidden beneath days like this. Heavy, slow, and unmotivated, but still real. The thought warmed something in him, and for the first time that day, he exhaled without tension. When the rain softened, he walked back home more slowly, feeling strangely centered, and by the time he reached his room, he felt ready to try again. Not perfectly, not enthusiastically, but honestly. He stood in front of his mirror, took a long breath, and repeated the first line of his speech once, then again, each time a little clearer, a little stronger, until he felt the heaviness lift just enough for hope to return. And as he closed the day, he realized something important. Strength wasn't built on good days, but on difficult ones. And today, even though he had struggled, he had chosen not to stop. and that choice alone made him feel quietly proud. The morning sun came in gently, painting Min Tet's room with a soft golden glow that felt almost unreal after yesterday's heavy rain. And when he opened his eyes, he noticed immediately that something inside him felt different. Not louder, not stronger, but clearer, like a calm voice settling quietly into his heart. He stretched slowly, letting his body wake up, and as he stood in front of the mirror, he didn't see the uncertainty from yesterday, but a softer, more grounded version of himself. Someone who had survived a difficult day and come out a little tougher. He whispered the first line of his English practice out of habit, and for the first time, the words didn't feel forced. They flowed naturally, as if overnight his mind had rearranged itself and decided to cooperate. He made tea, sat near the window, and watched the neighborhood come alive. Children running, motorbikes humming, vendors calling out. Simple, ordinary life happening all around him. And somehow this ordinary scene filled him with a strange sense of gratitude. He realized that progress wasn't always fireworks and breakthroughs. Sometimes it was waking up and feeling just a little more capable than before. With that quiet motivation, he grabbed his notebook and headed to the small community library where he usually practiced speaking alone in the corner, but today he decided to do something different, something quietly brave. Instead of hiding in the empty study room, he sat at a table near the entrance where people walked by, where noise existed, where he could feel the world around him instead of shutting it out. His heart beat faster, his palms grew warm, but he kept breathing steadily, telling himself he did not come this far to stay invisible. After 10 minutes of warming up quietly, he noticed a boy around 12 staring at him curiously, and when their eyes met, the boy shyly asked, "Are you practicing English?" Min Tet hesitated for a moment before nodding, and to his surprise, the boy's face brightened as he said he also wanted to learn but was too scared to try. Something shifted inside Min Tet at that moment, as if responsibility gently landed on his shoulders. Not heavy, but meaningful. He invited the boy to sit with him, and together they practiced simple sentences, repeating them slowly, laughing at mistakes, encouraging one another. For the first time in his journey, Min Tet wasn't just learning. He was teaching without realizing it, and the realization sent a warm rush through his chest. More people walked by, some stopping to listen, some smiling supportively, and one elderly man even clapped softly after hearing Min Tet speak a full paragraph confidently. It felt surreal, like the world was suddenly paying attention to him, not in a scary way, but in a gentle way, acknowledging his effort, his courage, his growth. He had spent years hiding from people, avoiding conversations, shrinking away from attention, but today he felt himself stepping into a version of his life he once believed belonged only to others. After the small session ended and the boy left with a proud grin, Min Tet stayed behind, sitting in the quiet library filled with sunlight, and allowed himself to feel the gravity of the moment. He wasn't the same person anymore. He wasn't running from his fear. He was standing in it, speaking through it. And because of that, the fear was slowly losing its power. On his walk home, he replayed everything in his mind, the boy's excitement, the supportive smiles, the way his voice didn't shake the way it once did. And the more he thought about it, the more he realized this was not just a good day. This was a turning point, a moment he would remember later as the day the world began to respond to him, because he finally dared to speak. As he reached home, he felt light, almost weightless, and for the first time in a long time, he whispered a small promise to himself. "I'm becoming someone I used to admire." And that simple sentence made his heart flutter with a soft, powerful pride he had never felt before. The morning felt heavier than usual, not because something was wrong, but because something important was waiting, something Min Tet could sense before he even opened his eyes. And as he lay there listening to the faint sounds of the neighborhood coming alive, he felt a quiet pressure in his chest. Not fear, not doubt, but the weight of responsibility that comes when life starts giving you real opportunities. He got up slowly, washed his face, and stared into the mirror, noticing that the boy who once avoided eye contact with himself had been replaced by someone who could look straight ahead, someone who had lived through shaky beginnings and grown stronger because of them. He spoke his morning practice sentences, not out of routine, but out of purpose, pushing his voice slightly louder than he was comfortable with, testing the air, testing his confidence. He knew today he would have to speak in front of 3 people at the community center. Just 3, not a big crowd, nothing dramatic. But to him it felt like the final test after weeks of climbing out of his old life and stepping into something new. As he walked to the center, he replayed all his progress. The library moment, the young boy copying his sentences, the warm smiles he received, the inner stability he felt growing quietly inside him. And each memory gave him a little push forward, like invisible hands guiding him. When he arrived, the 3 volunteers were already waiting. A woman in her 20s with kind eyes, a young man slightly older than him flipping through notes, and an elderly gentleman who looked stern but thoughtful. They welcomed him warmly, explained that they simply wanted to hear him speak for a minute or 2 to help him improve. Nothing too serious, nothing to fear. But Min Tet's heart thumped hard anyway, not from panic this time, but from the realization that he was standing exactly where the old version of him would never have dared to stand. He took a deep breath as they nodded for him to start, and when he opened his mouth, the first sentence trembled, just a little, just enough to remind him that courage didn't erase fear. Courage meant moving even when fear tried to pull you back. He kept going, letting the words pour out, slowly gathering strength, and soon he heard the sound of his own voice filling the room with a calm, steady rhythm he had never achieved before, a voice that didn't apologize for existing, a voice that claimed its space. The volunteers listened with full attention, and with every nod they gave him, something warm bloomed in his chest, something that felt like belonging. When he finished, the room fell silent for a moment, not awkward, but respectful, and then the elderly gentleman smiled, a small, rare smile that carried more meaning than 100 compliments. He told Min Tet that he had clarity in his tone, sincerity in his pacing, and a quiet strength that made people want to listen. Those words hit Min Tet harder than expected, not because they were grand, but because nobody had ever told him something like that before. Nobody had ever seen ability in him when he didn't see any in himself. As he walked home afterward, he felt the world around him tilt slightly, as though everything looked the same but carried more weight, more color, more possibility. He realized that courage wasn't loud or dramatic. It was the choice to show up, again and again, especially on days when your hands shake or your voice cracks or your chest tightens with uncertainty. He realized that growth didn't mean becoming fearless. It meant becoming someone who could carry fear without letting it control the direction of their life. And most importantly, he realized that speaking English wasn't just about language anymore. It was about reclaiming the parts of himself he had abandoned, the confidence he lost, the dreams he paused, the voice he silenced. That evening, as he stood on the small balcony watching the sun set slowly over the rooftops, he whispered to himself, not as a practice sentence, but as a truth he had earned, "I'm not the same person I was, and I'm never going back." And the sky, painted in deep orange and gold, felt like it was nodding back at him in agreement. The final morning of his 90-day journey arrived without warning, without celebration, without any sign that this day would be different from the others. And yet Min Tet felt something shifting beneath the surface of his thoughts as soon as he opened his eyes. There was a strange stillness in the air, the kind that comes right before an important realization. And when he sat up on his bed and looked around his small room, the books piled on the desk, the notebook filled with messy lines of practice sentences, the old headphones he had repaired twice, he felt a wave of gratitude so strong it almost stopped his breathing. 90 days ago, he would have woken up frustrated, silent, or scared to speak. But today felt like stepping onto new ground, softer, brighter, more open. He made his tea slowly, carefully, letting the steam warm his face, letting the quiet of the morning wrap around him like a soft blanket. And as he stood by the window watching the sunlight stretch across the street, he realized that somewhere along the way, he had learned to slow down, to breathe, to trust himself again. Today wasn't about proving anything to anyone. Today wasn't about perfect pronunciation or flawless sentences. Today was about acknowledging the person he had become, the version of himself he had built through every mistake, every shaky recording, every moment he almost gave up but didn't. He walked to the community center with a calmness he had never known before, not the forced calm that hides fear, but the natural calm that grows from experience. And when he stepped inside, the volunteers greeted him with warm smiles that felt like coming home. They didn't tell him what to do. They simply asked, "Are you ready for your final practice?" And he nodded, not because he felt fully prepared, but because readiness no longer meant waiting for fear to disappear. It meant stepping forward even while fear whispered in the background. They formed a small circle, the same 3 volunteers who had seen him grow from hesitant beginnings to confident speech, and he stood in the center, hands lightly trembling but spirit steady. When he began to speak, his voice came out softer than expected, but clean, honest, unforced, the kind of voice that doesn't need to be loud to be strong. He talked about his journey, about the frustration of feeling left behind, the loneliness of practicing late into the night, the embarrassing mistakes that once made him want to quit, and the quiet victories that reminded him to keep going. And as he spoke, something unexpected happened. He felt his voice grow warmer, deeper, richer, as if the words were flowing not only from his mouth, but from every moment he had lived in the past 3 months. The volunteers listened closely, not interrupting, not correcting, simply receiving his story like it mattered, and for the first time in his life, Min Tet felt completely seen. When he finished, there was another long silence, the kind filled with emotion rather than awkwardness, and the young woman with kind eyes wiped a small tear from her cheek before telling him that he had something rare, a voice that carried truth. The elderly gentleman stepped forward, rested a gentle hand on his shoulder, and told him, "You didn't just learn to speak English. You learned to speak as yourself." And those words hit Min Tet with the force of a lifetime. Because it was true. He didn't just gain vocabulary, he regained courage. He didn't just improve pronunciation, he rebuilt his confidence. He didn't just practice sentences, he practiced belief. On his way home, the sky opened slightly, releasing a soft drizzle, and he walked through it without hurrying, letting the cool drops wash over him like a quiet blessing. Every step felt like closure and beginning at the same time. When he reached his building, he went straight to the rooftop, a place he had avoided in the past because it made him feel small. But today it felt like the perfect spot to mark the end of something meaningful. The city stretched out before him, alive, imperfect, full of noise and hope, and he breathed deeply, letting the cool wind carry away every doubt that still lingered. He looked up at the cloudy sky and whispered, "I did it," not in pride but in relief, in gratitude, in disbelief. And in that moment, something within him finally clicked into place. The journey hadn't been about English. It had been about learning to trust his own voice, learning to stay when things got uncomfortable, learning to show up even when nobody clapped, learning that growth is slow but unstoppable when you commit. As the drizzle softened and the clouds began to lift, revealing a thin line of gold sunlight on the horizon, Min Tet felt something he had never felt so clearly before, a quiet certainty that he would never again go back to the version of himself who doubted every step, every word, every possibility. He wasn't finished. He wasn't perfect. But he had changed, deeply and permanently. And as he walked back downstairs, ready for whatever came next, he carried with him the strongest lesson of all, that the real transformation begins the moment you decide you deserve better than the limits you once accepted.